It's been a long time coming, this game, and at long last, Cyberpunk 2077 has launched to somewhat mixed critique. Here are my first impressions of the game, a somewhat mini review, as I want to wait to make my full review when the game is actually ready. So, for the next 6 to 8 months, this will act as my temporary initial review first impressions thing. Hope you get something out of it. Oh, and thank you for coming to my tomato talk.
What about your logs? Gotta have some kind of record.
Tech like this you don't register. Don't put any names down for it.
Blue hair, doll chip, best.
Let me start with the things I love about this game. The atmosphere. Oh my lord, the atmosphere is incredible. I really feel like I'm lost inside of a dense, sometimes dangerous and dark city. And while I was originally quite worried about the gunplay in the game, after about 10 hours of playing, I can say I'm almost satisfied. Not quite 100%, but getting there. It's very good for an RPG. Some more specific vibration patterns for different kinds of fire would be appreciated, as well as maybe some more drastic differences in ammo types. The gun types lead me to something else I really enjoy though, the interface. These interfaces are mostly straightforward, being still a bit confusing in some parts. The original brown they were looking at though doesn't hold a candle to this, and the design in addition to these colors gives a very nice, sleek and futuristic UI. The way that skills work inside of this UI is also quite nice in my opinion, splitting skills up into separate trees with their own point system, and then maintaining subcategories to drill further into detail on each of these subjects is smart. But some of the tiles are very lackluster. Don't expect to see very many new abilities and game-changing ways to play. There are mostly buffs, cooldown limiters, and passive abilities. And quite honestly, with no real difference in progression aesthetically speaking, each upgrade feels that much less interesting. With my body rate increasing, I'd love to see my body size increase as well. With intelligence, maybe increase the size of my head. Okay, not really, but something could be done to develop your character further into something new as you level up. Now I'm only 12 hours in or so, and maybe that does happen, but if it does, letting the player know in the first 10 hours would be smart.
Driving skills are improving, Agent. Your reactions are faster, and you're naturally more in tune with any vehicle you drive.
While not quite like Crackdown, per se, the upgrades are quite nice, but you might be a bit overhyped the first time you see all the icons available to unlock. I also really like the voice acting.
This piece of wonder tech for a whirl.
I haven't had a go with female V, but male V's voice actor is spot on.
Looks like this will be a cool breeze.
The only problem I really have is that the voice is so good and unique that I can't really see my own player having that voice. I don't know how you get past this, but I almost feel the more immersive experience would have best been with the default avatar.
A certain member of the Arasaka clan wouldn't be pleased if he knew something bad happened to Evelyn, and that you're the one responsible.
All right, fine. I'll lay it on you straight. Girl you're looking for, Parker? She ain't here.
Tell me something I don't know, like where is she?
Let's talk about conversations. The lifeblood of any good RPG. Something we've been wanting to take another big step in after the breakout hit of Mass Effect.
Why would you construct the mass relays, then leave them for someone else to find?
Seriously, conversation systems have mostly been the same for like 14 years. And besides the presentation, it'd be nice to get the feeling that I'm dealing with a new background system that handles the actual conversations differently. Unfortunately, I'm not getting the sense there is anything very different happening here.
They're scrolling this stuff. Gotta be a rat hole of some sort. Doubt they do much shooting on location.
Yeah, gotta be somewhere quiet, out of the way.
Not a huge hit against the game, it's just the same as everything else, but better. Conversations feel like they never actually change. Sometimes even the same choices are offered in different orders to make sure I pick both in the same conversation.
Who'd that be?
There's a store on Jig Jig Street. It has a Pandora's box worth of crap.
The wild card in this system are the conversation swingers.
Prepping for a transfer.
How would you know?
Chinese Corpo playbook's an open one to me. This looks like the old vanishing pigeon.
There are two types of conversation swingers, life path options and skill-based options. The skill-based options tend to make more of a difference, but more often than not, neither change will make the conversation or the situation swing too wildly.
These girls know you're chipping faulty implants.
You might say so.
Some of these conversation scenes and set pieces are done with amazing flow and atmosphere though, usually being the more main storyline focused ones.
Or I'll shoot! I repeat, drop your weapons, now!
Easy now. Not too late for everyone to walk out of this
We
alive.
called for backup! Bullshit!
Last
He
chance.
insulted me!
Look, the quicker you spill, the shorter you'll have to put up with us. Now, Evelyn Parker, where is she?
Could very well be on her way.
Okay, tell me.
We're the wrench. The cutter is the AV. And the screwdriver is where the AV should bury its nose cone in the dust. Now, you must be wondering how we get the AV to do that.
That old HMG of yours.
My gun will be useful elsewhere. This caliber would barely dent the armor of a...
I seriously need to say, when this game is at its best, the music is swelling, tension is rising, you have to make a decision and you're on the edge of your seat. When this game is at its best, it's the best experience in gaming I've ever had. There was one altercation that I didn't think could go peacefully. I almost didn't catch it, but even without the yellow guiding lines, you can diffuse a conversation even without the special unlock.
You make sure the wreath's snug on you.
But then there are some other scenes, the smaller exchanges. They are a bit times flat, but that's how cities are. Some areas are dull and some aren't.
Unlike But you can't ignore the truth.
Correct. Unlike you, I have not yet failed to keep my oath to do my duty.
You will regret those words.
The only thing I regret is that I came.
Doubt they do much shooting on location.
Yeah.
There are also the phone calls, the unavoidable phone calls.
Could be we'll see something to point us in.
You ever been in the middle of a conversation and instead of waiting to call somebody back or walking away for a phone call, you tried to continue both conversations at the same time?
The problem
Well, you're in luck, 'cause there's a lot of that here. Calls simply can't be ignored. Even if you have the option to pick up the phone, it's not actually an option. You'll do it anyways.
That's gonna help us how exactly?
Exploring the world was fun for the sights, but didn't feel incredibly useful outside of a couple obvious alternate routes and a series of collectible data chips. I really miss the incredible backstories and scene explanations you could find in Deus Ex, a similar cyberpunk-based RPG. And I just wanted to see more unique events and things happening in the city while I walked around. This city is higher in density than most of our top cities combined. There should always be something going on here, everywhere. That doesn't mean they literally need to have a separate event in every part of the city at all times, but at least give me more than Klepto Simulator 2077. I seriously stole just about everything. Champagne, shoes, data pads, somebody's half-finished tequila. I just wanted to find more things to do off the beaten path, and this junk was all they gave me.
True gentlemen. Oh, shame only. that he's being hunted by all Arasaka's teens.
Things also felt very staged. In conversations, CD Projekt Red wanted to give us the freedom to control the camera during these scenes, but don't actually give us complete control. Now this was a big reason for the game to be first person, and this may again be my own desire for an immersive sim, but I want to be able to leave the car when I feel it suits the scene, or get up from the chair when I want to. All this talk of the first person immersive experience, but I still don't have control over my own body. Maybe I'm too used to Star Citizen now.
Just like you've seen flashes of mine.
Also, where's the damn ambient music? I can't imagine this is by design, but there are seriously so many times when I'm walking down the street, have this beautiful scene in front of me, and just can't get into it because all I hear are random cars, mistimed wild lines from NPCs, and my interface notifications chirping at me. The music would really bring it all together for me in a way that I'm always forced to just do in my head. Seriously, take this scene.
People like me, either we are doing well or we are in a grave.
And now take it again with some music.
People like me, either we are doing well or we are in a grave.
I like the music one, and maybe this was just a glitch for me, but I believe ambient music should always be playing with the option to be turned off. It didn't happen all the time, but I'm a bit disappointed it happened as much as it did. Alright, I'll lay off for now. That's about all I had so far. Here are some other things I noticed but didn't really feel far enough into the game to get into, or passionate enough to rant about them fully. There were many graphical little issues, surprisingly inconsistent quality as well in textures in different areas of the game. I couldn't find gamepad controls to figure out how to dodge. I should have known it was a double tap to the crouch button, but maybe a controller layout for the PC players would have been nice. Sometimes there were literally no sound effects for things like doors opening and closing. It was a huge lack of quality for fairly mainline interactions in the game. These scenes should be peak cinematic on the settings that I'm using, and hopefully this can be resolved quickly. Some glitches were strange, but otherwise a means for a chuckle with the twinge of disappointment. Others got me into bad situations that ultimately ended with my death, and occasionally, once or twice, were game-breaking. At one point, this person got eyes in the back of their head for some reason, detecting me and changing the entire course of a mission over the next 30 minutes.
I'ma take care of you.
And enemies always know where you are, even if you break the line of sight, if you're in a combat scenario. Trying to hide or flank was a bit pointless once they had seen you. I also had the ability to carry all these strange outfits, once again preying on my desire for an immersive sim, but didn't feel like I'd ever actually need them. There was no disguise gameplay or stealthy need to have full body bandages, but there they were, always taunting me.
I'll lay it on you straight.
Overall, surprisingly, I'd say my experience with the game has been positive, with an underlying negative feeling and some pretty distinct negative points. Most of my first problems with the game, though, come down to it just not being ready. I'm sure there were quite a few features that were cut and would have made an appearance solving some of my issues, and more content was likely lined up for the pipeline, and who knows, maybe we'll see some of that in the DLC. But I can't possibly understand how the game was supposed to launch a year ago. While I originally said that things come up and they cause delays, it seems there was more wrong with the game than that would justify. If this were a Squadron 42 style delay, Cyberpunk would have been remade for years, but this was more of a Horizon Zero Dawn delay with Squadron 42 problems, and it shows. This is why I'll be waiting to do my full review until later next year, and leave this as my initial opinions. I will still be creating more content for the game, but my review will wait. Thank you all for checking this video out. If you'd like the chance to win this game, you can enter my giveaway in the video description. If you want to see it played, you can always hop over to my Twitch channel. And if you'd like to support my creation of these videos, you can become a member on my Patreon. Finally, if you want to see more of this content being dished out, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
My recommendation, sell, and sell some more. And if you're unsure where to shove all that cash on short notice, you can't go wrong with the Arasaka machine. Stay steady.